Hi everyone, I'm Mike. I'm an artist based in the UK and I sell my work, both originals and prints, all over the world. I've been working quite gently but consistently on LinkedIn to help spread the word. And this is episode 3 in a rather sporadic series. But as I say, I'm just working at this, nibbling away at it quite gently, but I am doing it fairly consistently. So now we are up to 830 followers, and I'm going to highlight 3 or 4 key tips that I found helpful over the last few months. So the first one is to vary the style of content that I'm posting. So for example, here you can see I've posted a couple of images, quick sketches of my artwork, but I'm also putting up a lot of videos as well. I regularly post content on YouTube, and many of those videos are quite long form, so they might be an hour long, half an hour long, sometimes even 2 hours long. Now, once they're up on YouTube, I then take them and chop them up into a series of smaller episodes, typically about 1 minute per clip. And then that allows me to repurpose the content and show it to a different audience. So here, for example, I've got a little clip of me starting to create an ink drawing using a brush of a flock of sheep. But then what I'm doing is on LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn profile, is I'm varying that video content. So this next clip is me blocking in watercolor, a restaurant scene. And then this one, I'm halfway through a line and wash watercolor of some cattle. Now, all of those are real-time videos, but then this next one is a speeded up episodic version of creating a portrait painting. So the idea is, by varying the content, I'm not only showing people the range of work that I do, but it keeps it a little bit interesting for me because I'm not posting the same thing over and over again. When somebody visits the profile, they get to see different paintings at different stages of their creation. So this portrait's close to finished, but as I showed you, the restaurant scene and the sheep are just at the beginning. So it starts to give the feel that somebody's kind of wandering into your workshop or your art studio or your gallery, and they're kind of seeing you progress, as you move along with lots of different things. The other type of video I'm doing is just grabbing my phone and talking about a page in my sketchbook and giving a few tips and thoughts on that. And I always try to include at least 1 or 2 educational tips or helpful tips, either within the video or within the caption, depending on what's going on. Okay, so that's the video stuff. But the main thing is it's a really good way to repurpose, work that I've done previously, because obviously it's quite a lot of effort to film a 2 hour long painting demo. You put it up on YouTube, and then, why not reuse it elsewhere? Okay. So then if we come down here, we've got other still images and other paintings going on. Okay. So that's tip 1. Then tip 2, I've mentioned this one before, but this is an extension to it. So let's say, for the sake of argument, I was trying to target my art towards lawyers. Okay, so I've mentioned in a previous episode, you can search for people with a specific profession just by typing in the word lawyer into the search box. But the next tip is you can also do that country specific. So if I search for lawyers in Scotland, for example, I can get a list of lawyers in Scotland and try to connect with some of them. But the cool thing is, having done that, what you can then do is say, go to Google and search for a list of all the countries in the world. So I don't know about you, I live in the UK, and I don't know about you, but if I was trying to market to somebody, my first thought would not be Bosnia and Herzegovina, if that's even how you pronounce it. And it wouldn't be, for example, I don't know, Micronesia. I wouldn't think to target those people with my marketing. So what I've started to do recently, I think it's kind of a cool thing to just sort of reach out globally, is, as well as targeting professions and, that I think might be interested in my work, what I'm doing is I'm picking a profession like interior designer or farm shop restaurant owner or something like that, and then I'm gradually going through the entire list of countries in the entire world. And I think it's just a nice thing. So imagine if you just managed to get one connection in every single country in the world, then all of a sudden you've got a little global network. And if I was in a country which people from the UK don't normally communicate with, and somebody on and I was on LinkedIn, and if I was potentially interested in art, it'd be kind of a nice novelty to connect with somebody from a country you don't normally do so. So I think that's a nice thing to do. So that's something else that I'm pursuing as well. And then the other final tip is, let's say you make art about the law, for example. Perhaps an obvious customer might be, lawyers, but the next tip is then to think about, well, what other professions are associated with the law that might also require your art, or might like it, or might need it. So, for example, lawyers must use a lot of computers. Lawyers must use a lot of stationery with headed notepaper. They need signs up on their doors, windows, above their offices, things like that. So maybe some of those professions which are associated with your main target are actually where your customers are. Okay, so I hope you found those few tips helpful. I don't know when the next episode of this little series will be, but there will be one coming along at some point in the future.